Hello, welcome to another video. Today I just wanted to take a break from my regular videos, so yeah, I'm redesigning an old character of mine. This is an OC, or an original character, that I've had for a long time. Her name is Naomi, and she was such a favorite of mine a few years ago that I decided to name one of my major 7 OCs after her. If you know anything about Minecraft the video game, Naomi was a character made to be a part of it. Naomi's story starts in a quiet, peaceful village where nothing exciting ever happens. Naomi was just like every other woman in the village and content with her lot. One day, Naomi's village was attacked by marauders. In the devastation left behind, the villagers were shaken and wanting answers. Somehow, Naomi's house was the only one that wasn't looted or defaced. The scared and angry villagers blamed Naomi for conspiring with the marauders, desperate for a scapegoat. The villagers dragged Naomi out of the village and into the forest to where an ancient portal stood. No one knew what the portal was. All I knew is that criminals that were thrown through never came back. It had become the ultimate punishment and a pillar of fear standing over the forest. Upon seeing the portal, many of the villagers' passions quieted, and they could only see Naomi as a childhood friend and a fellow villager. But they had come too far to give up on their scapegoat, and no one was willing to admit their error. So into the portal Naomi went. The shock of the pure purple energy ripping her body from one dimension to another knocked her unconscious. When she woke, she found herself on a small island of rough coral-like rock in a sea of surrounding lava and fire. The air was dry and hot without a breath of wind. Sparks rained, sometimes scorching her arms. After some time, Naomi climbed down a cliff on her island and jumped the river of fire separating her from the rest of the mainland. That one jump through the intolerable heat over rivulets of certain death was the first step of her journey of survival through the inhospitable fire wastes. There was no night or day, the heat was intolerable, and the only source of water was little bits of fungus and mushrooms growing on the sides of the cliffs. The only food was large pig-like creatures that would tear into you as quick as you could blink. As Naomi collected scars, wounds, and knowledge, she became well-versed in the terrain. She tried her best to avoid the lava oceans with their burning heat, and stayed in the great blue mushroom forest for as long as they could support her. She discovered vast ruins rising from the fire lakes, guarded by beasts made of fire, and square ominous structures haunted by two-legged hog-like creatures. Soon, all memories of her home, the green grass and blue skies and chuckling streams, faded, and instead her mind was only aware of purely the need for survival. She tracked the hunting parties of pig people, hunted the great boar beasts of the red forests, crept through the halls of fortresses. She was consumed by the red fog of animalistic necessity that slowly spread through her mind like a disease. Until one day, Naomi had tracked a hunting party of pig people, hoping for scraps of anything they caught. She was out of luck today, since the pig people were only interested in scrapping with a migrating tribe. Naomi was tired and the two groups had stopped outside a blue forest, so she decided to sit and watch how the fight would carry out. The hunting party was outnumbered, but many of the tribe were women and children. It seemed to be an even fight because, by the end, only 2 badly wounded warriors of the hunting party were still standing, and the women had vanished. The 2 warriors didn't last long, and when Naomi was certain they were dead, she went down to examine the fighting ground. The hunting party didn't seem to have much on them, and the women from the tribe had probably taken as much as they could carry from their men's bodies. Naomi was about to find a place to sleep in one of the giant mushrooms when she saw a bundle dropped a little ways away from the battleground. Her curiosity drew her over to the cloth-wrapped object and prompted her to unwrap one end of it, hoping for a bit of pork and mushroom brew. Instead, to Naomi's surprise, there was a tiny runt of a pigman child. Naomi didn't know what to do, but the smiling blue eyes and little trotters reaching up toward her stirred a little bit of her buried humanity. Naomi waited, crouching by the child, waiting for one of the women to come back for it. She waited a while, enough time to realize that either the tribe's survivors had run into a new bit of trouble, or the mother didn't find coming back for the runt worth it. Naomi scooped up the bundle into her arms, carrying her into the safety of the giant mushroom forest. "It's all right, little one," Naomi murmured, her voice hoarse from years without use, from the smoke, heat, and dry air. "I'll take care of you now." Like I mentioned, Naomi is a character from Minecraft. She was, at first, a self-insert. I mean, really any character with brown hair usually is. But she eventually developed her own personality. Later on in her story, she adopts an Enderman as well as the Pigman girl child, and those 2 characters are now the adopted children of my current OCs, Naomi and Eddie. Yes, her daughter now has her name. Naomi's story, though not very well developed, is still one of my favorites, especially because 2 major characters got carried over into my current story, but also because the time when I was creating the story, I was also experimenting with comics and graphic novels, which are still some of my passions, and I was just beginning to take art seriously. Naomi's story was later remade into a more realistic narrative, set in the Civil War, but with weird magical bits, and was more focused on her daughter and son, and the family conflict that arose from them being on opposite sides. Doing this to the story was an attempt to have it not be connected to a video game, But this transfer from full fantasy to historical fiction with a little bit of magic just killed the story, and I moved on. Regardless, I wanted to make Naomi more human-like than the original story to memorialize the weird Civil War version. For this speed paint, you can probably see me struggling a little bit. I wanted to make sure the colors look good together, so I laid the colors down first instead of the line art, making most of the piece lineless art, something I've never been good at. Keeping that in mind, I think I did a pretty good job, but there are a few things I wish I did differently. I'll definitely enjoy redrawing this piece in a few months like I usually do. Thanks for watching, even though this wasn't my regular Christian content. This video took a lot of time and work, so I'd appreciate it if you'd like the video. Please also consider subscribing. It'll help other people see my videos, specifically my Christian ones. Also tell me what you think of Naomi and her story. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next one.